That's fine. J.J. Ament, running for state treasurer.
Not sure. Thank you. Not sure I'm any prettier, but they said they'd shock me when they're tired of hearing me talk. Thank you very much. What a crowd. It's great to see all of you. It's great for me to be back here in Pueblo. My name's J.J. Ament. I'm running to be Colorado's next state treasurer. I'm a lifelong Coloradan, grew up on my family's farm and ranch about 20 miles northeast of Sterling, Colorado. You know, Colorado is a $19 billion government. That's how much of our money they're going to spend this year. $19 billion. I would submit to you that is more than enough money to run the state of Colorado if it were being run well. More than enough money. And in one way or another, every one of those dollars passes through the state treasurer's office. And I think this state treasurer has been asleep at the switch. I'm a strong supporter of Tabor, like I think most of you are. In fact, believe it or not, I'm the only candidate running for treasurer in Colorado that actually voted for the Tabor Amendment. I mean, we need to protect that. But I think what we've seen under this governor and this state treasurer is that just having the Tabor Amendment in place isn't nearly enough. Because even with Tabor, which we all understand means we vote on tax increases, this governor and this treasurer have passed over $1 billion just in the last year of new taxes and fees. Yeah. And now we even hear their new candidate for governor saying, well, you know, there is a difference between eliminating a tax cut and raising a tax. Well, it doesn't take too much country wisdom to know that the difference on my pocketbook is zero. It is exactly the same thing. It was Hickenlooper. It was said it on Channel 9 TV. I mean, we know these things. We're going to vote on TED. The people have a right to be involved in the government. They work for us, not the other way around. And this notion that we're going to now call taxes fees so that we don't have to ask the voters' permission is offensive to me, frankly. We can do a much better job. So $19 billion that they're going to spend this year, and this crew's been in office now 3 years, so they've spent about that same money every year that they've been in office. So let's say they've spent almost $55 billion since they were elected. Do you know how many times this state treasurer and Governor Ritter have disagreed on a spending item? Zero. Not one single time. You know, we just finished the Christmas holiday, and my wife and I are buying presents for our kids. We couldn't go through a Walmart or a Target without having an argument about one thing or another off the shelf, of whether we should buy it or not buy it. Or is it too much money? Is it not enough money? And yet this couple, Ritter and Kennedy, have been able to spend more than $50 billion and not one time has the state treasurer objected to something that the governor has done. I think we need to restore some independence to the Treasury. We elect the statewide treasurer independent of a governor for a reason. It's a good idea to have the people who are watching and managing the money be separate from the groups that are charged with spending all of the money. And that there used to be tension between those offices, but that tension has disappeared. And frankly, you can't tell where Governor Ritter's office ends and where Kerry Kennedy's office begins now. And I mean to change that. And frankly, I mean to change it no matter who the next governor is. Republican, which I think it will be, or Democrat. It doesn't make any difference. Because I'll be honest with you, I've been critical of my own party, the Republican Party, before, especially as it relates to fiscal issues and spending. And what happened in Washington, D.C., we need to acknowledge was a mistake even when our side was in charge. What has me most troubled right now about what happens in Denver is how much the Capitol building in Denver is starting to sound like Washington, D.C. Especially as it relates to fiscal issues. Especially as it relates to fiscal issues. And I want to run and be treasurer to stop that before it gets too far out of control, or any farther out of control than it is. And I think we have a responsibility to make sure we elect people to these offices who will finally do the things that all of us say we're going to do when we're running for the office in the first place. I think we need to put people in there that have the experience. And that's why I'm running. Now, I should be honest with you, too. I have a radically unusual background for somebody who wants to be treasurer of Colorado, in that I would be the first state treasurer in Colorado in more than 40 years who has a professional background in finance. Radical. I know it sounds crazy. It sounds crazy, but for For the last 10 years, my business has been working with state treasurers all over the United States and with other government CFOs to run their offices better. I would sit down with them and we'd find innovations and efficiencies, and we'd try to finally actually deliver value to their taxpayers, or to their ratepayers if it was a utility, or to their tuition payers if it were a university or a college. In fact, I'm proud to have done work to help finance some of the new student housing right here at CSU's campus in Pueblo, which is a gem, by the way. This is a treasure that we have for this community, as is Pueblo Community College for that matter. Now, I tell you, I won't take too much time, but you know, I already told you we spend $19 billion in this state government, and yet on top of that, we borrow an additional $1 billion a year just to cash flow the operations of the government, because taxes don't come in at the same time they want to spend money. And every time, you know, because there is some federalism left, the state of Colorado is allowed to borrow that money in the tax-exempt markets, so let's call it 1%, and simultaneously invest that money in the taxable markets, so let's call it 3%. So if you can borrow at 1 and invest at 3 at the exact same time, that's called arbitrage. That's a riskless return. There should never be an occasion where you lose money when you have a riskless return. The state of Colorado almost always does. And so I sat down with the state treasurer and I said, look, with some basic financial principles in place, you can stop speculating with these taxpayers' money, with our money, and you can make sure we in fact make money every single time. And she looked at me, and don't get me wrong, Carrie Kennedy is a very nice person. Very nice person. Has no business being the state treasurer, but is a very nice person. I like it. This isn't personal. The deputy that she hired is also an attorney, like Carrie, no financial training. I think the third person in the office has a PhD in the classics, which is fine. Not who should be running the treasury operations of a $19 billion government enterprise, but fine. Then they looked at each other and talked, and then they turned to the career staff. And the career staff looked back and said, well, we've never done it that way before. And I said, well, golly, I know. That's why I'm here, to show you all a better way. And we argued about it, and I couldn't finally persuade him. And so in what has become tradition of liberal Democrats in government, they said, well, we're not going to actually take any action, but we'd like to study it. So come back to us, JJ, in a year's time and tell us what would have happened if we'd have put these things in place. And I said at the time, I can tell you how this movie will end. But I did, and a year later I came back, and that one decision in the Treasury cost all of us taxpayers $7.5 million. That's how much we lost, because the Treasurer continued to speculate on interest rates and guessed wrong. And as I was explaining this in the basement of the Capitol building, the Deputy Treasurer says to me, JJ, you are looking at this all wrong. We didn't lose $7.5 million. We spent $7.5 million more than we should have. And I didn't know what to say. But it was that moment that I said, I'm going to quit my job and run for state treasurer, because this is crazy. Even in a $19 billion business, folks, $7.5 million is still a lot of money. We should never have lost it. I will never lose it. It is one of the reasons that I'm running to be treasurer. So I'm here to ask for your help. This is going to be a tough campaign ahead. They're invested heavily in the Democrat incumbent. And so I need your help to win. So I'm here to ask for that help. We need it. We're committed absolutely to earning our spot on the ballot. The old-fashioned way, the way I did it growing up for candidates. We're going to the caucuses where we can meet with people directly one-on-one. We need your help at the county assembly and then at the state assembly in May. And I'm happy to talk to you tonight and elsewhere. Our campaign has a website at www.jjament, that's AMENT.com, and we'll pass out there on the bottom of our flyers that we'd be happy to share with you. If you are a bumper sticker kind of person, we are happy to give you a bumper sticker to put on your car. If you're not particularly a bumper sticker person but would be willing to put it on a neighbor's car, we will give you a bumper sticker. I think what the governor's done to this energy industry in Colorado is also offensive, that we've run them all off. But our own energy contribution, we are told, we haven't been able to verify it, but 10 more miles to the gallon for any car that has this bumper sticker on it as our contribution to the energy industry. But look, this, all kidding and jokes aside, I'm here to ask for your help. There is even, I just say that there's nothing that's so broken right now in our country that's what right with our country can't fix. But it's not enough unless we change the leadership in our elected positions. And frankly, it's not enough if we just change the governor. We also need to change the treasurer as well. I want to do that, and so I'm here to ask for your help. Thanks very much. Nice to see you too. Thanks for, nice to see you. Thanks for having me.